What's up, guys? This is that PlayStation Gamer coming to you guys with a brand new video. Yes, today we're doing a response video to Cody Lee / Harmon Smith. He does use some colorful language in this video, and I do apologize for that. I tried my best to kind of edit it out, but I really couldn't at the end of the day because it's such a quick little thing. And, Share Factory allows you to take certain parts out, so I apologize for it. But, yeah, he goes in pretty heavy on this. And I also apologize for the brightness. Because yet again, I need to fix the shit. So, forgive these little problems.
Really hard on emulation and pirates and PC faggotry. I've been talking about all kinds of things regarding this topic. How Nintendo emulators are superior on Nintendo consoles. How you all.
So right out the gate, he literally has no freaking clue what he's talking about here. I have seen emulators. I even have footage on my thumb drive that shows Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild run at 4K 60 FPS. That can't be done on Switch. The Switch trying to do 1080p is almost impossible. So fucking 4K 60 FPS. I even saw some footage where people were doing 120 frames. Ain't happening. So right off the bat, Cody, you have no freaking idea what you're talking about. But you know what? I got a feeling you're getting a little stupider soon.
Always want to own Nintendo consoles, and people who say that the definitive version of all of these games is always on PC are completely delusional. And now, in 2021, with this one single news report, we have confirmation that the vast majority of the gaming audience agrees with me.
Oh boy, what's it going to be? Is it going to be a poll showing that people prefer Nintendo over PlayStation, Xbox, and even PC gaming? Is it some amazing number that will trounce and destroy every single PC peasant? You didn't know this, but Nintendo actually has 5 billion players. Is it that, Cody? Is it? Or is it something so obscure that actually Sony and Microsoft have actually surpassed it? Like, to the point that it doesn't really matter when you think about it.
32 million people are subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online. Now, this is really interesting to me because this reminds me a lot of how Pokemon Sword and Shield were received after their initial controversy, or how some like Pokemon Let's Go or things like
This, ladies and gentlemen, this is the face of a man who creamed himself 32 million.
that have kind of.
Wow. No one agrees with you there, buddy. 32 million doesn't mean people agree with you. In fact, PlayStation has more, and so does Xbox. Yeah, Xbox Game Pass doesn't have more, but that's because it's a pretty new service, and it's on a, let's just say, least unpopular console right now. But Xbox Live has 100 million users. So, wouldn't technically that mean more people use Xbox Live than they use Nintendo Switch Online? Just saying. And if PlayStation Plus has more active users, that means it's more popular. Thus, people like it more than Switch Online. See where I'm going here? 32 is impressive, but it's nowhere near the numbers Sony and Microsoft have. Come on.
Gone on to be really, really successful in spite of having gigantic, massive.
It was at this moment he knew he messed up.
Massive, what's the word I'm looking for? Massive conspiracies against it, like these massive controversies against them, right? Like, according to these people, according to the pretendos, Nintendo is always fucking them over. They're anti-consumer. They're not putting out good products. Like, people.
Thank God he paused there from it. Now I actually reply. Nintendo doesn't have these big conspiracies against them because they're just people stating their opinions, Harmon. Yeah, some people don't like Nintendo because of their anti-consumer practices. Hi. Some people don't like Nintendo Online being super expensive for families or hell just individuals for a lesser product compared to their competition. I mean, what's the best you're getting? Seriously, straight up forward here. What's the best you're getting? N64, NES, and Super NES games, Animal Crossing DLC, and Genesis emulated games. Most of those things you can do on a computer that literally costs next to nothing, if nothing completely. The thing that would actually you can't do on a PC is Animal Crossing DLC. But if you don't have Animal Crossing New Horizons, then it's worthless to you. But Nintendo wants you to pay $50 for a shitty online service and stuff that you could do on a PC and a DLC that if you don't even have the game, you can't freaking use it. $50 a year for that, please.
They're not interesting. They're not exciting. It's not anything that people would want to buy. And yet, despite this years long campaign against Nintendo Switch Online and other service and other games on Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch console as a whole, Nintendo Switch Online is at the point now where I think it is going to be very, very difficult to suggest that it's not actually successful because
Successful doesn't mean good. I mean, hell, Call of Duty is the most successful video game franchise of all time, and it's shitty every year. But yet, you seem to associate success with good. Well, then you really must hate the Wii U, because the Wii U was a flop of a console. But you won't say that because this is a Nintendo product.
like Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass only has about 30 million subscribers itself, right? If NSO has the same amount, right? Like even if they're not subscribed to the expansion plan, if you have like 30 million subscribers to the base plan just to play online, you're doing fairly well for yourself. And some of those people, several of those people, I'm sure, like at least half would consider expanding to.
Wanna know why there's 32 million people subscribed to Nintendo Online, Switch Online? I'll give you a very simple answer. Because diehard fanboys will agree to whatever the hell the company throws at them. Even if it's a shitty service that literally gives you next to nothing in value, and if you don't have that service, you're shit out of luck, Johnny. You don't get to keep those games. You don't get to play those games anymore. So they keep you subscribed. Those kind of people who are subscribed to Nintendo Online right now are don't know this right now, but they're getting duped. They're getting duped big time. This is a service where you literally get nothing. Nothing. And you have to pay for this nothingness. Instead of them selling the games, just as is, on a virtual console, God forbid, right? They actually are saying, hey, here's a bunch of fucking old games, and if you're not subscribed to our service, you can't play these old games. You want to play Ocarina of Time, but you don't want to subscribe to this network because you don't want to have to pay for like a bunch of other fucking games you don't want to play? Too bad!
N64 online eventually. Even if they're only subscribed to the base NSO plan, that's still a massive success, that's still a big deal, and you still get access to the classic NES and Super Nintendo games, which are, of course, the games that are commonly pirated and re-released on PC. Because, emulators can't handle N64 emulation, they can't handle GameCube emulation, they certainly can't emulate Wii or Wii U emulation.
Oh!
Wrong. So much wrong with that sentence. Cody, it could be emulated. Anything could be emulated on a PC. GameCube, Wii, Wii U, PS2, PS1, PS3, Xbox, Dreamcast, you name it. It could be emulated. Wanna know why? Because that's what computers could do. They could get better. They're programmed for more than just doing one task like a console. These PCs these days, don't know if you know this, they can actually play Nintendo games at higher frame rates than the actual Switch game. But I don't think you know that because I don't think you've actually ever looked into this stuff. And it's kind of a shame because this stuff's actually pretty damn cool.
So, we're at the point now, right, with Nintendo Switch Online, as popular as it isn't going away, first of all. It's highly successful, and it is gaining more and more supporters with every single major update, right? Every time a handful of new games get released, more and more people start to warm up to the service. Now, there still are a bunch of people who are.
I mean, I would like to hope Nintendo doesn't do that, but at the same time, they've done it. They literally have taken games out of the Wii shop, add them onto the Wii U shop, and are like, hey, you already paid for this on the Wii? Too freaking bad. Now you gotta pay for it twice. I don't doubt for a second that Nintendo, if they really got freaking greedy enough, and they are pretty fucking greedy right now, I think they would actually shut off the Switch service, bring over the Switch service to like the Nintendo Switch 2, and call it like, hey, see, gotta pay for this again. And this is why I think personally they're gonna stop doing digital classic games because they want to get you subscribed to the Nintendo Online Network. The best way to do that is to leverage their old games. This is why I think people like you, Cody, need to actually start saying, no, we're not going to keep paying for this. You need to give us the option to buy the game and it carries over, or we don't subscribe. Come on. You gotta have a pair of balls on you, man. Because if you don't, Nintendo is going to keep bending you over, and they're going to keep making you They're going to keep making you their play toy.
Compulsively hating the service, but as we've seen over the past couple of weeks, what they say online about Nintendo and about NSO do not matter. They have no influence over the industry at all. They have no influence over the market. People don't actually go to gaming YouTubers to.
There he goes, hating influencers again. How did I know that would happen? Because he hates anyone that's got the slightest bit of criticism towards Nintendo. Man, he must really hate someone like Young, yeah, or someone who tries to be neutral as possible but calls Nintendo on their BS. You know what? I actually really wish I could send this guy a video. Like, what do you think of this whole situation going with RGTX 85? Because that situation is why I won't support Nintendo anymore. How they treat content creators is ridiculous.
Discern on whether or not they would support a certain piece of hardware or games. Generally speaking, everyone in the gaming community already has their mind made up regards to this kind of thing long before it even happens, right? So like people like were shitting on NSO right out of the gate because it was Nintendo and Nintendo was bad. It had nothing to do with the service, it had nothing to do with the pricing, it had nothing to do with the features offered. It was just because it was Nintendo and therefore bad.
Thing is though, Cody, people were trying to give this thing a pass. They were trying to be fair to Nintendo. Like, wait a minute, let's wait for the actual service to come out before we make a judgment call. Guys like Arlo, freaking Young, yeah, Woods, all these freaking people I would actually consider Nintendo fans were like, no, we're going to wait till this thing is actually out before we make a judgment call. People like me, we're already shit. I guess, yeah, we do have a little bit of, hatred towards Nintendo, but also because we kind of see the writing on the wall where it's like, Nintendo really hasn't provided that great of service. What makes you think, oh, suddenly they're just going to turn that all around just because they put some N64 games? N64 games are way more demanding than games that are like NES, Super NES level. And of course, well, what happened. And I don't even think like Nintendo's made an official response yet. That's the part that kind of shocks me. Like, Nintendo's yet to say anything about any of these problems that Switch Online service has having, and they're just expecting people to pay for it. They're just expecting you to pay for it because, like, hey, we're Nintendo. Nostalgia.
Um, Gaming YouTubers, I think, had a very good opportunity to tell people that, like, oh, Nintendo Switch Online is a good service. It offers a lot of value. There's a lot of positive things about this, but they chose not to.
So you wanted them to kiss Nintendo's ass right out the gate without any, requirements. Like, oh, the service could be complete shit. It's the worst thing we've ever experienced, but we're going to kiss your ass right out the gate because that's what you want them to do? that they have no credibility as a reviewer or a critic. See, that's the thing here, Harmon. Some of these people actually want credibility, so they actually wait to experience the service. I mean, that's like if I were to say God of War Ragnarok is Game of the Year contender. I haven't even played the game yet. The best I can tell you about God of War Ragnarok is I'm excited for it, but you, for some reason, want these people to just suddenly kiss ass out the gate.
What they did instead was rage and rant and rave about a $50 annual subscription fee. Like, are you kidding me? Unbelievable. YouTubers that pull in like six figures complaining about a $50 subscription. No. No. It was always absurd, and I for one am very happy, very, very happy that people are ignoring these degenerates.
Well, I made it through. Holy fuck. That one is kind of an eye-opener, if I'm being honest. Mostly because it shows that he really, at the end of the day, wants people to just kiss Nintendo's ass. No criticism, nothing that could sound critical of Nintendo at all. If you don't, if you criticize Nintendo, you're irrelevant in his eyes. You're like this, super bad person. But here's the thing, Harmon. Criticism is good. It's how we progress as a species. If everyone kissed everyone's ass, no one would improve. No one would get better. People would fall into the problems they have. If someone who is an alcoholic doesn't recognize they're an alcoholic and everyone tells them they're doing okay, that person will continue to be an alcoholic until the day they die, or until the day they decide they're going to turn their life around. You are a person who is enabling Nintendo on all their bad behavior, and you don't want anyone to say anything negative. You are what's the word I'm thinking of? Enabler. You are the enabler of this situation. Nintendo needs to do better because we, gamers, need to demand better. Nintendo has gotten away with the nostalgia factor for way too long. I used to love Nintendo, but I won't support them because of how they treat content creators. I won't support them because of how they treat their own fans. I won't even, support them on the base that their games have been shallow as hell over the last couple of years. This is That PlayStation Gamer signing out. Holy crap, this was a long one. But you know what? I had to get it done because this is one video, so I was like, I'm going to have a lot to say. So get ready. Until next time, guys, this is That PlayStation Gamer signing out. Y'all have a good day now. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube.